Zero GI side effects on Accutane. I've been on it for 2 years and my bowels are solid.
Maybe we start with the GI issue because that became a really big thing. There were like thousands of lawsuits in the 2000s towards Roche because people thought that it caused GI issues like irritable bowel disease and ulcerative colitis. They all ended up getting overturned and the research no longer really supports that. But there was a good chunk of time where people did believe that was the case. There was even studies that supported that it can cause GI issues. How does that happen? That there's like one study that shows that this could be correlated to a GI issue or causing a GI issue. And then, later we do a meta-analysis of 2.6 million people. And in the end, we're like, oh, actually, there's literally no causation with any GI disease.
I mean, in general, I think that like correlation versus causation is a big thing. Acne is an inflammatory disease. And so is a lot of inflammatory bowel disease and stuff. So I think there is a shared mechanism sometimes between these things where you do see people receiving Accutane having higher rates of these conditions, although they are not related to the drug. They're just related to this person's, physiology.
We just ended up finding out that people with acne, regardless of what treatment they were on, even if they're not on any treatment, have a higher likelihood to have a GI issue.
Yeah.
There's some kind of relationship. But unfortunately, Accutane got a bad rep along the way, which is so ironic because the status quo alternative to Accutane that every dermatologist was using is antibiotics. They're the number one prescriber of antibiotics in the country. Like, it's not your primary care doc or your urgent care center. It's a dermatologist.
Everyone knows antibiotics are great for the bowels.
Right, exactly. It's like we're nuking people's guts with antibiotics, but then comes along Accutane and that's a no, no-go zone.
Funny story, but I was on long-term doxycycline to control my acne as a teenager. I didn't have health insurance that allowed me to get Accutane. Doxycycline was just less burdensome to get. And I was on it for months. And eventually I started getting so many GI side effects. And I persisted for a couple months after that, just like in pain every day because it was the only thing that controlled my acne. And eventually I had to stop due to the GI side effects. Zero GI side effects on Accutane. I've been on it for 2 years and my bowels are solid.